We're very excited to be having our first auction on the 18th of April, which is a Monday night here in Sydney. What we have is one lot is going to be a Norman Lindsay collection of over 1,000 items, a wonderful collection put together by James Kemsley, all on Norman Lindsay. There's going to be another 300 or 400 lots, and they will encompass books from other vendors. There's Norman Lindsay, quite a few Norman Lindsay pen and ink drawings and pencil drawings, as well as lots of books by Norman Lindsay, but it also includes a vast number of art books. It's 100 boxes of art books from a retired Sydney gentleman. There's also wonderful signed and inscribed Henry Lawson stuff. There's a manuscript from Henry Lawson. There's a 1617 atlas with Terra Australis on it. There's some Australian exploration. Patrick White's signed. There's some really good Australian and non-Australian books in the general auction. So come along, have a look. Even if all you do is come to the viewing, you'll enhance your knowledge of Australian culture. Okay, one of the highlights of the auction is this beautiful book by Magini, and it's an atlas printed and published in the year 1617. It's a small quarto book. It's a rather beautiful book. It's printed on rag paper, so it's in wonderful condition. It's very clean. There's one little blemish on it there. That's it there. There's just a brown stain on one of the maps, and other than that, it is very clean. It's been trimmed by a binder over the years, but the trimming doesn't affect text in any way. That's about as bad as it gets. It leaves just a millimetre or so above the text. So it's all here. It's got 64 maps. It's complete. I think it's 64, might be 63, but I'm pretty sure it's 64. And here's the fold-out map in the middle, and it's a map of the world, and you just see a little bit there. You can see, you probably can't pick it up in the camera because the printing is so small, but it has Terra Australis there, so it's acknowledging that Australia existed. And within the text they do mention Terra Australis a couple of times. I think they're talking about Vasco da Gama or something like that. Now as well as the 64 maps, there's also about 20 mathematical cartographic type illustrations like that, where he's talking about the trigonometry of maps and all that mathematical stuff that I certainly don't understand. The author was a professor of mathematics at the University of Bologna, and the book is written in Latin, and it's based on the Ptolemy maps published about 50 years earlier. The book was actually published after Magini died, just after he died, a year or two after he died, and his son organised the publishing of it. But it's a wonderful book, and it's 1617 with Terra Australis in the map. So it's a very rare book, and not many copies of this book ever crop up on the market. So it's a chance, even if you can't afford to buy the book, it's your chance to come along and see a unique piece of Australian culture. And if you're really nice, I'll let you handle it. Also in the auction sale, we have another iconic Australian represented, Henry Lawson. We have him represented. We've got a first edition in the days when the world was wide. We also have another one of his early books, and the front end paper has an original painting by Fred Least in it. It's rather unusual and beautiful. Fred Least did a lot of book illustration, and it's in a Henry Lawson book. We have this book here, My Army, Oh My Army, which a limited edition. This has got a Norman Lindsay connection too. That's an original Norman Lindsay illustration on the front. And then if you open up inside, we have to Gay Shaw. Now Gay Shaw was Gay Fieldshaw, who was an entrepreneur and an etcher, book plate artist, but mostly he was an entrepreneur. He ran an art gallery in Sydney in 1916 when this book was published. So Henry Lawson has said, to Gay Shaw, with best wishes and kindest wishes from Henry Lawson, Sydney, 25th to the 12th, 1915. Norman Lindsay, by the way, said that Gayfield Shaw was the best art dealer in Sydney. So there's that, signed by Henry Lawson, a rather beautiful book, and it's a nice inscription. But the best Henry Lawson item we have, this is really exciting. I'm excited by it. It's a 5-page manuscript by Henry Lawson. These 5 pages, Henry sat there, and this is the original one that he gave to the Bulletin. This poem was published in the Bulletin in 1916, and you see here, that's the green ink from the, that's the sub-editor of the Bulletin's markings, and he's gone through here and he's made a couple of little corrections, and he's signed it twice. He's got to the end of page 4 and he signed it, and then he's crossed it off because he hasn't finished his this is sort of an addenda, and it's 5 pages written by Henry Lawson, one of the absolute icons in Australian literature, part of the great Renaissance, well, not really a Renaissance, but part of the birth of Australian literature. Henry Lawson did more than any other person to start and create Australian literature. He got people reading, he got people interested and excited. He was a great man. And so here you have 5 handwritten pages of a poem, Billy Blue, by Henry Lawson. You don't see this sort of material crop up very often at all. Okay, another exciting thing we have in the auction is a Patrick White signed book. Patrick White signed a few books. He didn't sign a lot, but he signed a few. This is a first edition of The Aunt Story, and it's signed by Patrick White in Biro there. Patrick White, of course, the only Australian to win the Nobel Prize for Literature. Other Australians have won it for medicine and science, etc., but he's the only one to have won it for literature. And he is one of the icons of Australian literature. So we're lucky in this sale. We've got Lindsay, Lawson, White. We've got a lot of iconic books, including this one signed by Patrick White. And it shouldn't sell for a lot of money, a couple $100. So come along and have a look at Patrick White's signature. Another important item we have in the sale, we have this lovely 2-volume set of Sturt. Sturt in 1818, he went out into the great unknown, into southern Australia to explore. Sorry, 1828, I said 1818. 2 expeditions into the interior of southern Australia during the years 1828, 29, 30 and 31, was observations on the soil, climate, etc., etc. So it was a scientific exploration journey that a couple of white guys set out. It's got beautiful colour plates. They went into places that were unknown to the white people. The Aborigines, of course, had settled them and conquered the land, but the whites didn't. And it's a map. I'm not going to take it out now because I don't want to unfold it here. And it's from the library of Archibald Liversidge, who was a famous Australian scientist, geologist in the late 19th century. The 2 volumes in great condition. It's been rebound. It's a 19th century rebind or early 20th century rebinder. It's a very handsome binding. All edges are marbled and the marbled end papers, half leather. It's a lovely copy of an important Australian exploration book. Maps, colour illustrations, geological samples. It's a really important book. What's this worth? Somewhere between $1,500 and $3,000. Okay, another lovely thing we have in the sale is Lionel Lindsay's sketchbook from one of his excursions to Spain. Lionel loves Spain, and he went there I think 4 times between the wars, and he loved it, and he made quite a lot of sketches while he was there, and he did some etchings when he came back, and his Spanish work is good. So here is a sketchbook that he had with him in Spain. Now there's only a few sketches in it, but here's one that's a fairly it's almost a complete sketch, that one. Most of the drawings in it are there's things like that, and there's ideas for sketches rather than full sketches. There's that, and then at the back he's just done a couple of little things here. This is almost a complete sketch too, although that looks like a working copy of something that he was going to develop. And there's a few other little things in here like that. are good working sketches of a very important Australian artist